So I want to start off talking about virtual job fairs. That is going to be the topic of the start of this conversation. So steps to take during and after a virtual job fair. The first step that you want to make sure that you take is that you act professional. Even over the video, you want to make sure that you are alert, that you're not using any slang, that you're not using any text or abbreviation, because again, a virtual job fair is on your computer, so a lot of times you are typing in the chat box back and forth. So you want to make sure that you are professional and that you're not using any slang or trendy text abbreviations. You also want to take notes. It is important that you write down any observations and comments so that you can refer to them later when you're reviewing your day and deciding on how to move ahead. The other third tip, you want to make sure that you gather contact information. That's very important for any job fair, whether it's a virtual job fair or face-to-face live job fair. You want to gather the contact information because without the contact information, you won't be able to follow up. So with the contact information, you're able to go to LinkedIn, follow them on LinkedIn and introduce yourself and get follow up with phone calls and emails. So gather the contact information. And then the last tip that you want to make sure that you do for a virtual job fair, you want to make sure that you say thanks. You want to thank the people who put the job fair on. If you know that information, if you have the information, you want to send an email to any of the companies that you're interested in that you were able to talk to personally. So those are just some quick 4 tips that you can do or need to do when you're having a virtual job fair. So we're going to get right to the questions, and I had some people already send their questions in. One question that I was asked to answer: can you tell me about a time when you failed to achieve a goal? When you're asked that in the interview, because you always want to look your best, and nobody wants to be looked at in a negative light, especially during an interview. So if somebody asks you, can you tell me about a time when you failed to achieve a goal? You want to think about maybe one of your first jobs. So hopefully you won't use a current job, but maybe one of your first jobs, and give a true statement. We were supposed to meet 15 clients, and I only was able to meet 5. So I was 10 short of my goal, and the goal was 15, and I only met 5. However, what I learned from that is to better pace myself during the month so that I can make sure that I hit all my numbers. So anytime that you give something negative, like your weakness, or when you fail to achieve something, always follow back up with a strength and things that you did to improve for the next go round. So you don't want to just leave it at the negative space. You want to make sure that you follow back up with something positive. That's what you want to always leave them with. No matter what question they ask you, you want to always lead them back with something positive. So I have a question on here that says, what is a virtual job fair? A virtual job fair is one that is usually done via the computer or via the remote. Some people do it on their phone or their tablet, and different companies agree to be on the call, and you go into different chat rooms to talk to different employers about positions. You get to talk to their representative. Sometimes you actually get to talk to them via the Zoom, and sometimes it's just via chat in the chat room. So that's what a virtual job fair is. So I have a question on here: is how much research should I do about the company before the interview? And that's a really good question. Every candidate, and we are hiring right now, so every candidate that I interview, I ask them, what do you know about our agency? And when someone says, I don't know anything, then you haven't done any research at all. Now, the very least thing you should do is research their website. Does the company have a website? So you want to research the website, see what it says, see exactly what they do. If it talks about the board or anything, you want to start with the website. You can also start on their social media page. You know, a lot of people don't get that, but you can start on their social media page and kind of get a feel of the culture. So social media page, their website. You can also go to Glassdoor, but you want to thoroughly, and LinkedIn. So 4 places, but you want to thoroughly know about the company, because when they ask you, what do you know about this company? Or better yet, why do you want to work here? You can at least have a reference to talk about. So you want to make sure that you thoroughly research the company. I have a question on here that says, is it a good idea to put your nickname on your job application? So the answer to that's a good question. So the answer to that is no. Now, I'm going to answer the question, and I keep reading other questions. So my theory on that is, if you go by your middle name, my brother goes by his middle name. So he never goes by his first name. So he starts with his first name's, I'm not going to say it because he never goes on it, but is an A. So it's A period Cedric. So that's how he writes his name. He doesn't write his whole name. He doesn't write Cedric because that's not his legal name. So he always makes sure that he A period Cedric. So you don't want to put nicknames on your job application. Now, if your name is Michael, and you can put Michael in parentheses, Mike, or Johnny and John, I mean, any of those, or Jennifer and Jenny, you can do all those too. But you don't want to just put Jenny if that's not your legal government name. Do I need to bring my resume to the interview after I submitted it to apply for the position? So, yes, always bring your resume. Even if you've already submitted it, even if you know they have it, bring your resume, because you want to look like that you're prepared. And you want to bring more than one copy. I always tell people to bring 3 copies, because you don't know who's going to all be in the room who will need a copy. When you come in and they ask you to sit down, please wait till they ask you, and they ask you to sit down in the chair to begin, you can say, I brought a copy of my resume if you need an extra copy, or if you need a copy. So that shows that you are prepared. So yes, you need to bring a copy of your resume, preferably 3, because if there's other people in the room, they may not have a copy. You can give them a copy as well, so that they can follow along. Also, if they have a copy of your resume already and you don't have to hand it out, you can put it in front of you on the table or desk, so that if you get too nervous and forget, where did I work and what year, you can glance down at your resume to kind of help you remember. Now, that's not look down and read, but you can glance down and be like, oh, it was 2012 that I worked at blah, blah, blah. So your resume, you always want to make sure you bring a copy to the interview. Hey, everybody, it's Belinda. I just wanted to come in and say, get your 90 days to employment journal today. If you're looking for a job, or you know somebody who's looking for a job, get your 90 days to employment journal and get on the path of getting employment.